All right, it is May 26, 2026, and we are doing the second part, and I would imagine we'll get it done today, but I'm not sure. Element 14. How do you know when to transition? In Your Life by Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson. We are at the bottom of page 271 in my version of the book, which is the original book, so it might be different in yours. Part 1, determine your total energy expenditure, TEE. So estimating how many calories you currently expend will keep you at a healthy weight. To start with, let's figure out your body's set weight, so BSW point, which will keep your calories in, calories out balanced. First, as we add more and more types of food back into your day, you will know you have your insulin leptin in balance because you will not be hungry and you will have lots of energy. Secondly, we will watch your response as we add calories. The idea is to reach the point at which the number of calories you take in is equal to the number of calories you use. The best way to do that is to figure out how many calories you burn in the course of a day. In other words, how many calories you should eat daily to remain where you have decided is your target weight. In order to have a starting point to guide us in how much you should eat, we will calculate your current total energy expenditure. Now remember, this isn't perfect, but because it depends on how much you exercise on that day, etc. So we are going to use a very simple formula to calculate approximately how many calories will keep your set point and your weight in balance. We will provide the most accurate and precise calculations for calculating your TEE online at habitsofhealth.com. I don't know if it's there anymore, but it's on the Optavia app. So determining your total energy expenditure, TEE. Want to figure out how many calories you need to eat in phase 2 to keep those genes fitting just right? The most common method is a simple formula to calculate your total energy expenditure, or TEE. Calculating your TEE as it is right now at your healthy weight will help us determine your optimal caloric intake during this phase. We'll work on increasing that number as we continue to add elements around how you can increase your movement and your exercise as part of our overall habits of health strategy and your new story. So that's something too that I don't think he talks about in this part, but recognize when you're building muscle's active tissue and it burns more calories. So if we're on that, always striving for greater muscle and structure, instead of declining, we actually burn more calories. So it's just an interesting thing to me. And also, the other thing that I wish was a little bit more in your face is recognize if you're 200 calories, you burn a whole lot more calories than if you're 135. So there's no way to get back to that calorie intake. Of course, it would take a whole lot of healthy food to get that many calories in, but it's just an interesting, we really have to look at the full perspective, not just the calories. Okay, so your TEE is determined by your basal metabolic rate, BMR, your physical activity level, PAL, and the thermic effect of food you eat, TEF. And recognize on the scale that we have, the biometric scale, the RINFO, it's the basal metabolic rate. That's all of the calories that you burn and when at rest. So that is not your TEE. And I think some people get confused about that. That's one piece of the TEE. So together these show us how quickly your body is burning the fuel you're taking in and day out. Let's begin by looking separately at those three components. Basal metabolic rate. Again, this is the one that you see on that REMPO scale. The BMR is the energy you use for your basic bodily needs. Even when your body is at rest, it's using fuel to breathe, grow, circulate your blood, adjust your hormone level, repair cells, and perform other functions. Typically, the VMR is the largest portion of your TEE energy equation. Because the energy required by these basic functions remains fairly consistent, this number doesn't tend to change very much. And then the PAL, physical activity level. The energy you use when you move, play tennis, walking to the store, chasing after the dog. You have control of this number and can change it quite a bit depending on the frequency, duration, and intensity of your activities. And then the thermic effect of food, TEF, is the energy your body uses to process your food. Digesting, absorbing, transporting, and storing food all take energy, about 10% of the calories you use each day. For the most part, this number stays steady. Calculating, now that's not burning calories because the different calories, that's just how much your body burns by having to circulate and break down and do all of this stuff. So that's the thermic effect of food. So does that make sense?
Mhm.
Calculating your TEE. Now that you know what goes into your TEE, let's start figuring out your number. There are a couple of options available to us, some more accurate than others. If you're not a math major or don't feel like getting out the calculator, you can start with a rough method of calculate your daily caloric needs. This initial number doesn't need to be exact, since it's only a starting point that you'll be adjusting as you monitor your weight throughout transition. See thehabitsofhealth.com for more elaborate calculations. So again, the TEE here, we're going to have to, watch what you're taking in, what you're burning. And I do want to say, well, I'll keep reading because he always says it after I say it. Your current weight in pounds times 11 calories equals your TEE. So your current weight in pounds times 11 calories equals your TEE. This formula is based on a sedentary individual, so you'll need to adjust it as you step up your exercise as follows. So activity level, you will multiply your TEE by your current activity level. So for light exercise, 1.2, or for moderate exercise, 1.5, or for heavy exercise, 1.7. And then he gives an example. And I have found that it can be helpful to this is what I was going to say. I have found that it can be be helpful to slightly underestimate your activity level above to ensure that you don't take in more calories than you are actually burning as you calculate your TEE. So if you think that you are light exercise, don't times it times 1.2. If you think you're at moderate exercise, move up to light exercise. Or if you think you're a heavy exerciser, move it up to 1.5, unless you're an extreme mountain climber, kayaker, and you're always moving and you're sweating and you're like, or you're a bodybuilder. So seriously, very seldom do I have people hit where they think they are. And even if they are, it just doesn't burn that many calories. So current TE, your current weight times 11 calories equals your TEE. Now make the adjustment to add in your current level of activity. Your TE times activity level equals your total TEE. And there's lines for you to actually put yours in there. And here's a note. Make sure you are fairly conservative when selecting your current level of activity, underestimating it. So if you are off, you will not have assigned yourself more calories than you are actually burning. 90% of the time, people overestimate their activity level and as a result, start gaining weight during transition. You can always increase it later if you find you are losing weight. Also, make sure you are working closely with your coach during this critical period. and trust the system. That's my note. Transition daily calorie intake. Okay, so your total TEE from above. So write down that number here. Phase 1, weight loss, daily calorie intake. On average, how many calories were you eating during the weight loss phase? And if you're doing 5 and 1, it's 800 to 1,000 calories a day. And then transition daily caloric intake minus phase 1 caloric intake equals, what's the difference? Estimate how many calories you will add during transition. Adjust this up or down to keep your weight stable. So that'll let you know from what you've been eating up to where you want to eat. So if I were there, it would be about another 700 calories that I would have to add through transition if I were in 5 and 1. And this is how many calories you will add. You will also track your weight and adjust this up or down to keep your weight stable. Note, your weight will increase a few pounds as you add back your glycogen stores and with it, water. Do not worry, as it will stabilize in the first week or so. Remember to recalibrate this number as you track your weight over the next several weeks. Now that you know how to calculate how many calories you will be adding as an estimate, let's look into how best we can add those calories and more healthy foods to your healthy eating plan. Part 2, your transition eating plan. If you use the portion-controlled meal system exclusively during phase 1, you'll need to introduce new food groups as well as additional calories into your eating system. Read the next section about the process of transitioning from packaged portion-controlled meal system to learning how to do this effectively. Journal your weight. If you start to see your weight trending upward, check in with your coach and check in on your choices to see where you can improve. You may gain as many as 5 pounds in the initial period during transition from rebuilding your glycogen storage and increasing your water retention. But this will subside as you increase your activity and refine your habits of healthy eating over time. Personally coaching people for the last 11 years, that happens week 3. If there's a precise transition. And then it starts coming off until you get up to that calorie level. So, but if you get in your head, you're going to end up 5 and 1-ish as optimization, and 5 and 1-ish is not what we want. If you've been using my healthy eating system to lose weight, you're already employing many of the principles of your permanent eating strategy and can skip the next section and go right to transitioning to your permanent eating system. And we do have 2 transition programs now. Transitioning from prepackaged fueling meals. If you've reached your healthy weight using portion-controlled meals, you need to add the full range of food groups back into your diet as well as calories. You're already used to preparing a healthy lean and green meal along with your fuelings. So this transition should be pretty easy for you. We're going to introduce these new foods in a logical order that allows your digestive tract to become accustomed to them again. Your starting point is 5 portion-controlled meals and 1 lean and green for a total of 800 to 1,000 calories a day. For the first 4 weeks of your transition, we'll increase your daily caloric intake incrementally each week by adding 1 of the 4 food groups that you've avoided during phase 1. Below is the schedule we use at Optavia to transition from weight loss into maintenance or optimization. Week 1, additional vegetables. Week 2, additional fruits. Week 3, additional dairy. Week 4, whole grains. By the end of week 4, you will have added each of those 4 food groups and will be consuming approximately 1,350 to 1,500 calories. Transition, and here's the graph. Once you've achieved your healthy weight, you're ready to make the transition to lifelong healthy eating. The transition phase gradually increases your calorie intake and reintroduces a wider variety of foods. The calories you need after transition to maintain your weight varies according to your height, weight, gender, age, and activity level. This 6-week transition leads to an ultimate goal of fewer than 1,550 calories a day. So again, there's beyond this because there are a lot of people, especially guys, that burn more than 1,500 calories a day. But this is kind of the schedule for the 6-week transition. The first week, you put a cup, and I do encourage the same vegetables, not high glycemic vegetables or potatoes or starches or those things during the first 3 weeks. You can start shifting that after about week 4, 5, and 6. The second week is an addition. You take away one of the fuelings, and you have 2 medium fruits and a cup of, and then those vegetables. The third week, you are at 4 fuelings. You are at 1 lean and green, and then additional dairy, and then that's week 3, and then week 4 is on top of that. You're going to be down to 3 fuelings, and you're going to be adding more protein and more grains, and each week you'll just keep increasing by 100 to 150 calories depending on the program that you're using. Or our new transition, super simple with using the Ascend products, optimization products. So here's how the first 4 weeks should look. In this section, I refer to the color-coded healthy eating system that I will discuss in the next element, which you will use to ensure that you are picking healthy choices. You can also read about it in part 2.8 in Dr. A's Habits of Eating. Healthy eating for life, your transition to permanent healthy eating. Week 1, add vegetables. Add any vegetables, he says, from the green section. And he finishes it with, from the green section of the chart. So he says any vegetables, but he's not talking about starches and So you're now eating 5 fuelings, 1 lean and green, and 1 additional cup of vegetables. Week 2, add fruit. Drop one of the packaged meals, add a fruit from the green section of the chart. Fresh or frozen fruit is preferred, but can maybe used as long as it's not packed in syrup. You're now eating 4 fuelings, 1 lean and green, an additional cup of fruit, and 2 medium pieces of vegetables, and then 2 medium pieces of fruit. Week 3, add dairy. And this will get you from 1,000 to 1,300 total calories. Dairy includes low fat, sugar-free. You're now eating 4 fuelings. Yeah, you get that. Week 4, add whole grain. So you drop another fueling, so you're down to 3 fuelings. Whole grain choices include, and again, check the glycemic index charts. They're all on Habits of Health. They're habitsofhealth.com. They're all in this book. Make sure those charts are front and center. Print them off. Have those. That's so important. And then also in the new Optavia guides for the 5-in-1 guide, in the back are the healthy exchanges, and read the little paragraphs at the top and all of the tips to understand how you're fueling your body for life. So week 4, it just talks about you're eating 3 fuelings, 1 lean and green meal, additional cup of vegetables. If you're exercising, add 4 ounces of lean meat or poultry, fish, or other. Most of us are using EAAs, so not necessarily needed there. And one thing, once you get to optimal health, don't hesitate to shift over to the Lean and Green Plus on the app, because that has some of the extras instead of just a lean and green without the fruits and the grains and things like that. So here's an example day. Breakfast: half a cup of high fiber breakfast cereal, over 5 grams of fiber per serving, and half a cup of skim milk, and 1 fresh strawberries. I actually prefer adding protein to that because there's not a lot of protein in there. So whether it be Greek yogurt, whether it be a breakfast cereal that actually has protein in it, which the only one that I've found is Premier Protein, I think. The only one that cereal that I have found is good. Add an egg. So mid-morning, frothy cappuccino, boost fueling. Lunch, for lunch, 4 ounces of deli turkey, 2 cups of salad greens with a half cup of diced cucumbers, tomatoes, and green peppers, plus half a tablespoon of reduced calorie salad dressing if desired. Mid-afternoon, chicken flavored and vegetable noodle soup fueling. I love that one, especially if it's soaked. Ooh, that's one of my favorites. Let's see, dinner, 4 ounces of poached salmon with 1 cup of green beans. And recognize it's 4 ounces. It's a little bit smaller. Now at this time, we're kind of spreading our foods out, so it does not have to be a fully green portion when we're in optimization. So after the first 4 weeks, you will have introduced all 4 food groups you avoided during phase 1 and will be eating approximately 1,500 calories per day. Over the following weeks, you'll continue to add calories until you reach your TEE, either by adding foods to one of your fuelings or to one of your meals using the color-coded portion control system. As an example, a woman whose target or TEE is 1,900 calories means that she needs to add 400 calories over the next 4 weeks. An easy way to do this is to add 100 calories each week until she has reached the permanent healthy eating schedule outlined in the next element. Note, also make sure you are working closely with your coach during this critical period. That's where we lose people and they go back to what they did previously. It's so important. If anything, talk to your coach twice a week during transition. And then after you're optimizing for a while and feeling solid, then you can go to once a month, but still work with your coach. Okay, in the next element, we will introduce my healthy eating system, which will allow you to add calories in a progressive fashion and eat healthy and maintain an optimal weight for the rest of your life. Don't forget to monitor your weight during transition. Your weight may fluctuate during transition as your body gets used to additional carbohydrates, salt, and calories. Remember to monitor your weight vigilantly and adjust your calorie intake up or down if you fluctuate by more than a few pounds from your healthy weight. If you notice that you're gaining weight, cut back on calories a bit by recalculating your TEE and adjusting your intake accordingly. Give your body time to readjust its lower set point and be ready to catch yourself early. Now that you're in transition, we will move into the final element in weight management. In the next element, we will introduce you to Dr. A's Dr. A's healthy eating system, which has a sustainable and satisfying methodology to allow you to duplicate the power of our fuelings in everything you consume. So good.